So I've played Pokemon TCG for a few years now, and trust me when I say, the Pokemon in the game versus their counterparts in the TCG are not the same. So I want to go over some of my recent favorite Pokemon that don't get a lot of love in the video games, but are so good in the TCG that it's actually made me find a new appreciation for them. And they're so good, in fact, that it might even change your mind. And the first Pokemon I want to talk about is Squawkablly. Do you even remember this Pokemon being released? Well, you probably do because it's the Elvis Pokemon, so that's pretty obvious. Anyways, I remember when I first encountered mine in Scarlet and Violet and thinking, oh wow, look how epic this guy is. I can't wait to see him evolve. He's probably gonna look like Bravery or Mandibuzz and have like this cool evolution. It's probably gonna be in level 50. It's gonna be crazy. Just to find out that he in fact does not evolve. Believe it or not, he's actually in the game just to trick people to thinking they found a shiny Pokemon because they're all different colors. For reasons, I don't know why. They're there just to trick you to think that you found a shiny Squawkabilly. But that part doesn't matter because the Scarlet and Violet TCG has confirmed that the green Squawkabilly is the best one. Let me explain. In the Pokemon TCG, Squawkabilly EX has an ability called Squawk and Seize. Epic, I know. And it reads, once during your turn, you may discard your hand and draw 6 cards. You can't use more than one Squawk and Seize ability during your turn. If you have never played Pokemon TCG, you might not understand how incredibly broken this card is. In any other card game, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic, this card would completely break the game. Yu-Gi-Oh! Banned a card that let you draw 2 extra cards. This lets you see 6 extra cards. This ability is so powerful, it's similar to a lot of the supporter cards in the TCG, which are arguably the most powerful cards in the game. Just like Squawkabilly, you can only use 1 supporter per turn. So if you're going second and you play a supporter that lets you draw 7 cards, and then play a Squawkabilly to draw 6 more cards, you've essentially gone through 25% of your deck in the first turn. And don't let the only on your first turn clause fool you, because the Pokemon TCG has many ways for you to find Pokemon straight from your deck. I would say about 75 to 80% of the time, if you want to squawk, you're gonna seize. That was horrible. I hope this brings some appreciation to our boy Squawk here, because a lot of people will be sleeping on him during the game. I've played this card so many times now that I've actually come to like Squawkabilly. I think he's kind of cool now. And this next Pokemon is one that people really hate on the internet a lot for some reason, and it's Lumineon. I'm not sure if it's because nobody really knows what generation Lumineon came out in, or because it just looks so plain and boring compared to some of the other fish Pokemon that we have. It also doesn't help that it's a mono water type, or is it because it's literally impossible to spell out its name correctly? I'm having so much trouble. Honestly, it's probably just not that great of a design, and it may seem a little boring or safe for the Pokemon company, but trust me when I say they gave Lumineon V one of the best abilities in the Pokemon TCG. So good, in fact, that you can play it essentially in every single deck. Lumineon V reads, when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may search your deck for a supporter card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Remember a few minutes ago when I was saying that Squawk was good because it was like a supporter card, and that supporter cards were some of the most broken and versatile cards in the game? Well, Lumineon gives you the exact supporter card that will be most beneficial for you at the time. And in many cases, that supporter card can be the one that you need to win the game right there. A good example of this is Boss's Orders. And the best part is, unlike Squawk, this ability can be used during any turn of the game. And because it can be used in any turn of the game, it really gives you the power to decide when you want to use that ability and when you think it's best for you. Now, do you see why it can be used in every single deck? Creatures Inc. really wanted us to put some respect on Lumineon's name because that ability is power. If you're enjoying this video, please consider liking and subscribing. If this video gets 100 likes, then I will make a part 2 and we'll review some other cool Pokemon TCG cards. How about this Pokemon? It's not hated by any means, but it's, I would say, a little underrated. It's Sableye. Yeah, some people do like him, and he did get a Mega Evolution, but I don't see a lot of people really talking about Sableye. Personally, even I wouldn't really tend to use a Sableye during a Pokemon playthrough because I tend to go for more powerful, speedy Pokemon rather than bulky, meticulous Pokemon like a Sableye, because I'm Durr. But Creatures Inc. does have a soft spot for Sableye because they have been dropping some good Sableye cards in the recent years. Sableye V was an okay card that would see some play in Eternatus VMAX, which should probably be in a future video because it's a good example of exactly what I'm talking about. An underrated Pokemon with the crazy ability. But the Sableye card I want to talk about and focus on right now is one that is way more broken than Sableye V. This Sableye was released in the set Lost Origins, and he has 2 moves, both only costing 1 energy. For 1 colorless, he can do a total of 20 damage to the opponent, or for 1 psychic, he can use Lost Mine, which says you can use this attack only if you have 10 or more cards in the Lost Zone. Put 12 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. That might not have made a lot of sense, but all you really need to know is that supporter cards, which we have been talking about this whole time, put cards in the Lost Zone, and some Pokemon cards put cards in the Lost Zone. Okay, cool. So now let's talk about the important stuff. A damage counter is 10 damage. So Sableye puts 12. That means that he does 120 damage. What makes Sableye so good is that those counters can be distributed in any way that you like and to any Pokemon on your opponent's board. In general, it's your active Pokemon attacks the opponent's active Pokemon. But Sableye can totally bypass that and snipe weaker, more vulnerable Pokemon on their bench. Sableye has been so good recently that they printed out a Jirachi card just to counter it. Trust me, this card is ridiculous. 120 damage may not sound like a lot, but you have to keep in mind that Sableye is a 1 prize Pokemon card. In the Pokemon TCG, once you've taken 6 prize cards, you win the game. And most attacking Pokemon in the game cost 2 prize cards, or sometimes even 3 prize cards. Sableye, you might not have been great in the video games, but you have for sure made a name for yourself in the TCG. Now let me ask you a question. Who's your favorite starter in Generation 8? Is it Cinderace, who was one of the best characters in Pokemon Unite and has an amazing ability in the video game? Or is it Rillaboom, who has been competitively viable for years now in the VGC? Or was it the 007 wannabe, Inteleon? Well, it doesn't matter what you think because it's obvious who Creatures Inc.'s favorite is, and that is Inteleon for some reason. They just felt like they had to give Inteleon somewhere to shine because Cinderace and Rillaboom were doing so good in other places. Honestly, there are so many good Inteleon cards that I can't talk about all of them, but I want to focus on 2 of them. First, let's talk about Shady Dealings Inteleon. He has an ability that reads, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 trainer cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Pretty simple to understand. When Inteleon enters a battlefield, find 2 trainer cards. And honestly, you don't even need to know what trainer cards do to understand how broken this ability is. And the craziest part is that Drizzle also has this exact same ability, but he only finds 1 card instead of 2. So when you get to Inteleon, you have found 3 trainer cards. And these were so oppressive at the time, they would just find the pieces to find other Sableye and other Drizzles and other Inteleons to evolve up and just kind of go through their deck, to the point that an uncommon Drizzle was almost $4 or $5 a couple years ago. Oh, but we're not done. Look at this monstrosity. Inteleon VMAX. Oh my god, this card has a lot of text. Okay, let's start. First ability, Double Gunner. You must discard a water energy card from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during your turn, you may choose 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon and put 2 damage counters on each of them. He also has an attack that does 70 plus damage, saying you may put an energy attached to this Pokemon into your hand. If you do, this attack does 70 more damage. In short, do you remember the Sableye card that we just talked about? Well, this card is essentially 100 times better than that. It does the exact same damage counters as Sableye, but it doesn't need to attack. It can do this ability from the bench, and you can have multiple Inteleon VMAX set up on your board at the same time. However, it's very important to note that the Inteleon VMAX is one of the cards that does give up 3 prize cards, which explains why it's so powerful. And believe me when I say, they did not come out with the Cinderace or Rillaboom card anywhere near as powerful as this. So there you go. Some very slept on Pokemon that have amazing powerful abilities in the Pokemon TCG. One of my favorite things about the TCG is that Your Pokemon doesn't need to be able to attack to be a good Pokemon. A lot of them are just there to support and use their abilities, and I think that's pretty cool. If you've never played the Pokemon TCG, I highly recommend it. It's in a really good meta right now, and it's very fun. I've been having a really good time. Not a sponsor or anything, but totally give it a try. It'd be fun. And if you guys want to watch me play, or if you guys want to play with me, let me know. I'd love to link up and figure out how to do that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys want to check out my thoughts on the video games, there's a video here that kind of gives you an insight on that. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace!